Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa, and I help coordinate the Continuous Professional Development Unit at the Faculty of Engineering. In this short video, I'm going to give you a broad overview of what you need to do to complete your CPD and where to go to get more information if needed. Now, all engineering students in Australia have to complete a professional practice requirement in order to be accredited, and CPD is how you're assessed on this at Monash. Okay, so all undergraduate and Master of Professional Engineering students need to complete the CPD unit in order to graduate. CPD is an opportunity for you to take the engineering knowledge and skills that you're learning in the classroom and apply them to real-world experiences. Okay, so having to complete your CPD will help you to engage with industry, build your employability skills, and grow your professional network. Okay, so there are three components to completing your CPD. First, you need to complete your hours of eligible experiences, and 420 is the magic number here, okay? That's equivalent to approximately 12 weeks if you were working full-time in an internship or a regular kind of job role. As you complete those hours, you can start working on the first submission piece towards your CPD, which is a written record where you reflect on how the experiences that you're having are helping you to develop and apply your professional skills, okay? The second submission piece involves answering 6 assessment questions about your experiences based around the Engineers Australia Stage 1 competencies. Let's look at each component in a bit more detail. So how do you build those experience hours, and what's an eligible experience that will count towards your CPD? The good news is that pretty much any event or activity that's outside the classroom and takes place while you're completing your engineering course at Monash can count. Okay, as long as you can show in your written reflection that it's helped you to develop or apply one of the professional practice skills, then it can count towards your CPD. So you can see some examples of experiences on this list to give you an idea of where to start. It's a wide-ranging list from paid work, which is great if you can get it, right through to virtual internships, volunteering, attending seminars, unpaid work experience, and certainly online short courses would count as well. There are lots more suggestions on the CPD website, and we'll send you regular communications with ideas as well. Now, the experiences that you participate in will fall into different categories for the purposes of recording them towards your CPD. And the two main categories are engineering and non-engineering. Okay, so for example, if you were to attend some Engineers Australia courses, they would fall within the engineering professional development category. If you have a part-time job at a cafe, you're still developing those professional skills, right? Teamwork, leadership, communication, but they would fall within the non-engineering category. Okay, I'm going to go over each category in more detail. And there's also a guide on the CPD website that gives more examples for each category if you're trying to figure out where your experience would fit. Now, since CPD is a requirement for your engineering degree, there are some restrictions on the categories of experiences that can count towards your 420 hours, which you can see on the graphic here. At least half of your total hours, so 210 hours minimum, have to come from engineering-related experiences. And of that 210 hours, you can see that there are some subcategory limits as well. So no more than 70 hours of engineering curriculum, no more than 35 hours of passive experiences, and no more than 35 hours of individual project work. So that means that there's a maximum limit with the number of non-engineering hours that you can count as well, which is 210. And within that category, there's also a limit of 70 hours of non-engineering curriculum experiences that can count. Let me break down the subcategories for you in a bit more detail. So you can see in the engineering category restrictions that there's no hour limits on engineering work or professional development. And those experiences can actually count for your whole CPD, the whole 420 hours. Now, if you're completing hours in the engineering subcategories, there are some limits that apply. Okay, so curriculum experiences can have no more than 70 hours towards your CPD. And a curriculum experience is something that's directly related to one of your units, but that's outside the regular classroom hours. Okay, so it's not being in a lecture or a prac or a tutorial, but it's the things you do outside the classroom that are related to that unit. So if you have a big project that you're working on, the team meetings around that, the research for that, assignment preparation, etc. Now, passive experience have a 35-hour maximum that can count towards your CPD. Okay, and these are passive activities that are not related to a Monash unit and that have no output or deliverable. Okay, so an example of this would be watching like a workshop video or doing some solitary reading of engineering reports or engineering case scenarios or something like that. Individual project work has a 35-hour maximum as well. Okay, now this is work that's not directly related to a Monash unit, but that you're undertaking yourselves and you work on individually, and it does have an output or some kind of deliverable. Okay, so maybe you're building a robot at home and you're coding it, or you're building a website and you're doing some software engineering around that. those would be the kinds of things that would fit in this individual project work category. Okay, now the reason for the limitations around curriculum, passive experiences, and individual project work is that you need to get some active hands-on experience to count towards your CPD as well, right? So something where you're working with other people, you're applying your engineering knowledge and skills in a really practical hands-on way. The key thing to keep in mind here is that there are no limits for engineering work experience or engineering professional development, but there are limits for the other categories and subcategories. Now, we're often asked by students to help them decide if their experience is engineering related or not. So we've included some guidelines here and also on the CPD website. There are just some questions to ask yourself to help determine if your experience can count in the engineering related category. For example, are you being supervised by an engineer, right? Are you working at an engineering company? Does your experience focus on engineering concepts that you're learning, applying, or teaching? Are you liaising with engineers, right? Are you working with engineers in your day-to-day job? If there's an engineering team or club experience, is there an engineering focus, right? This is an important one because purely social events, such as a trivia night or a barbecue, wouldn't be considered engineering related, even though they're part of something that an engineering team or club might be doing, okay? And then just keeping in mind that you need to justify how your experience is engineering related in your skill reflection on student futures. There are 2 submissions that you'll need to create for your CPD, and this is the first, the Student Futures Reflections. Now, Student Futures is a digital platform where you record your experiences with all the key details. So what you did, who your contact person is, and supporting documentation if it's greater than 35 hours in length. Then you choose a professional practice skill to attach to it and explain in your reflection how that experience helped you to develop or apply that skill. So what is a professional practice skill? You can see the 9 skills on this slide that Monash focuses on, and they're some of the top skills that employers look for when they're hiring. Now you need to reflect on each skill twice, and then a third time for communication for a minimum of 19 reflections. Keep in mind that you can attach multiple skills to each experience. So for example, if you're completing an Engineers Australia course online, you might use communication as well as professionalism. You can then add 1 or more reflections to each skill as well. Something else to keep in mind is that for any experience that you claim to have participated in for 35 hours or more, you'll need to provide documentation to support that claim, okay? The document might be a letter from your employer confirming your start and end dates and the work that you did, or it might be a screenshot showing completion of an online course. So as you're completing your experiences, you want to make sure you get your supporting documentation in order, because sometimes it's hard to go back and get them later, right? If it's 2 years down the track, and the company that you were working for has closed up for some reason, it might be difficult to get that. So just try and get it in advance as you go. Here you can see a screenshot of what the Student Futures platform looks like. The dashboard shows you how many hours and skills and reflections you've added, and you can see upcoming events and activities listed as well. There's also a how-to video on the Student Futures website if you need help learning how to use the platform. All right, so you've completed your hours and written them all up with your skill reflections on Student Futures, so you're 2/3 of the way there with your CPD. The second submission you need to create is your answers to the CPD assessment questions. You'll be asked to answer 6 questions by reflecting on your CPD experiences with reference to the Engineers Australia Stage 1 competencies. At the end of the document, you also need to list all of your CPD experiences greater than 35 hours and insert hyperlinks to your supporting documentation for each experience. Your CPD needs to be submitted for assessment in your final semester of study at Monash. Now, we will send you the CPD assessment questions template just in advance of your final semester of study, and it will also be on the CPD Moodle site, which you will be enrolled in for that same semester, okay? You can see an example of the CPD assessment questions template on the website, but note that it is updated each semester, so this version is a guide only. The CPD assessors will spend a lot of time looking at your answers to these questions, and it takes time to answer them properly. So you want to make sure that you leave yourself enough time to complete this piece. It's a good idea to look at the template so you have an idea of what you'll need to create for this part of your submission. So just a few notes about the CPD Moodle site. This is where you'll submit your 2 CPD documents for assessment. Submission 1 is your Student Futures Reflections, and Submission 2 is your answers to the CPD assessment questions. As noted before, you'll be automatically enrolled in the correct CPD Moodle site just prior to your final semester of study, okay? CPD is assessed on a pass-fail basis. If you don't pass your CPD on your first attempt, an academic from your department will give you feedback and you'll be asked to revise and resubmit your work until it's satisfactory. If you aren't able to submit your CPD in your final semester, you'll be rolled over to the next semester for submissions and your graduation will be delayed. So just to reiterate, because we do get asked this question a lot, your CPD is due at 9:30 a.m. on the Monday of week 5 of your final semester of units at Monash. Okay, it's due early in the semester to allow time for assessment and resubmission if necessary, and so that you aren't trying to complete it at the same time as your final assessments and exams. All Bachelor of Engineering and Master of Professional Engineering students need to complete and pass CPD in order to graduate. My tip for you here is to start working on your CPD early, right? Even in your first year of study, you should have at least one experience that you can log and reflect on in Student Futures. As for any unit at Monash, CPD does fall under the academic integrity policy, so you need to ensure that all the work is your own. We do audit CPD submissions every semester and check for academic integrity issues. Okay, just to recap. So you should now have a good idea of each of the 3 components that you need to complete your CPD. Complete 420 hours of experiences, log those experiences on Student Futures, and reflect on the employability skills that you've developed or applied during each one. Don't forget to upload your supporting documents for any of those bigger activities that are greater than 35 hours. Answer the 6 CPD assessment questions and list your experiences greater than 35 hours with hyperlinks to your supporting documents. And finally, upload both of those submission documents to the CPD Moodle site in week 5 of your final semester of study. Now, Monash does help you find CPD experiences, but you need to keep in mind that it's your responsibility to chase the opportunities and participate in experiences that are of interest to you. All right? Practicing those skills now helps you develop the job searching and organizational skills that you'll need as a graduate. Okay? The faculty will help you by making you aware of programs and opportunities that can contribute to your CPD hours. For example, we've created an Engineering Student Career Hub website where we brought together information about lots of programs and opportunities within Monash and also externally, and where you'll also find upcoming events that you can register in. We send regular emails throughout the year with suggestions on how to complete hours, and we post advertisements and tips on the Faculty Moodle Hub sites as well. You'll also have access to Career Connect to help you. They're the central Monash team of advisors and work experts who can provide workshops and resources to help you with your job search and to find ways to engage. So here you can see a list of some of the ways that you can get involved at Monash. We have our Engineering Career Ready series, which everyone can come to. There's some other programs like Co-op and Will, IIP and Mighty that you need to apply for. We have our fantastic engineering teams and clubs. So you just need to have a look and find those opportunities to engage, and that will help you to build up your CPD hours. So as I mentioned before, you have access to Career Connect, who can help you with your professional development. They have all sorts of resources and activities. Some of them are online, some of them are in person. So have a look at the Career Connect information as well. So my top 3 tips to get going on your CPD is 1, to check out the Career Hub site that I was talking about earlier and get involved at Monash. Okay, there's so many programs and activities that you can participate in to get your CPD hours, like our engineering teams and clubs, right? The Career Ready series, Co-op, Will, and so many more, right? And do your own searching as well to see what's on offer. If you haven't already, join Engineers Australia. Okay, it's free for students. They have tons of resources like free online training that can help you get some of those CPD hours as well. And my final tip is to log into Student Futures and get familiar with the format. Okay, even in your first year, you should have at least one activity that you can log in Student Futures to start getting your hours count up. Now, we've provided lots of information on the CPD website to help you with your CPD. Okay, each of the components is outlined in detail. There's a frequently asked questions section and information on who to contact for additional help. We also hold CPD drop-in sessions every semester where you can speak directly with a staff member and ask any CPD questions that you might have. So there you have it, our quick guide to your CPD requirement. I hope you found this video helpful. The PDF version is on the website in case you want to follow up on any of the hyperlinks, and there's lots of detailed information about each component of CPD on the website as well, so I encourage you to take a look, and I wish you all the very best completing your CPD.